Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast. With your hosts, Ashley and Mike, please sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Undroppables Playbook, a football podcast presented by the Undroppables, sponsored by Analyst Depot. I am your host, Ashley. This is my lovely co-host, Michael Duncan. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. The Phillies are beating the Braves.
Me too.
And I'm hoping that we will go up 2-1 in the series. Go Phils. And then Blooper can cry his way to his grave.
Very true.
If you're not aware who Blooper is, it's the mascot for the Braves, and he picked a fight with Philadelphia fans for some reason on Twitter. I don't really get it or know why.
He literally went wild on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was expecting, but
for a while there, like as a mascot of a team, and you have like a Twitter, you like keep up the bit on your social media, and he didn't, like, it was a person. That was not the mascot. They did not have the bit anymore. It was just like an angry worker who was fighting with Philly fans.
Like, the only one that can do that and have it remain part of a bit is Gritty, because he's actually, like, his caricature is actually just an unhinged sociopath.
Oh, yeah.
So that's in character for Gritty to pick fights with people. Like, I'm pretty sure my sister just asked me if I want popcorn. Sure. I'm recording a podcast, though. Yeah, so go Phillies. I forget what I was saying.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's all right. Well, week 5 of the NFL wrapped up. We're heading into week 6. After this week, we're at like a third of the way done. So that's crazy. But let's talk about some news first. We did take off last week. Thank you for bearing with us. Had some stuff come up, but we're back. So let's talk about some news, some of it from the past, 2 weeks. Biggest news, Jonathan Taylor was elevated off the PUP and then immediately signed to the Colts. An extension, 3-year, $42 million, in the most Colts thing ever. Like, talking about how the team will move on if, we don't need him. One player doesn't make our team. And then Jameer Say goes on Twitter and is like, he is invaluable. We love this guy. So Colts. So Jameer Say. Either way, Jonathan Taylor has his home for the next couple of years after a long contract dispute with a lot of tension in the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah. Congrats, Colts fans, I guess. Our resident Colts fan at the Undroppables Fantasy Dukes, he was pretty pumped about it. And then, of course, Zach Moss went out and lit the world on fire, and it makes me question why they gave a crap ton of money to a running back when they have one on a near minimum contract. But that's beside the point. Good for Jonathan Taylor. This is the first big running back contract in years. So
yeah.
We'll see what that does. But
I was talking to someone the other day about running backs, just like someone who's a little bit more casual of a fan, and they were talking about running backs being underpaid and stuff. And I was like, every time the biggest thing is you always have like one champion, right? Who's like, this is why we should pay running backs. Zach Moss was it this week, but in general this season so far, it's Devon Achane, right? Like, he's a rookie running back who they did not give a lot for, and he's performing among the best in the league. It's just there's always a couple.
There's always more examples of why not to than why to. The why to is Christian McCaffrey for the Niners. Sure, great. There's an argument to be made that he's the front runner for the MVP right now. The why not to are the Miami Dolphins, the 49ers most other seasons, the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, there are a ton of them all the time. The Buffalo Bills. It's just, I don't know. We've had this conversation so many times. I probably don't need to rehash it, but
yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on. 2 trades. One that we missed with our week last week. Cornerback J.C. Jackson was traded from the Chargers. Goes back to his home with the New England Patriots. This was for a late round pick swap. LA signed him to a 5-year, $82.5 million contract last offseason, and the Chargers are going to be paying for a majority of J.C. Jackson's $12 million guarantee this year in order to make the deal happen. The Phillies just scored again.
I know, I was about to say that. I was waiting for you to finish.
this was very needed for the Patriots as their star rookie cornerback, Christian Gonzalez, is slated to miss the rest of the season with a torn labrum. So they go out and they bring J.C. Jackson home.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it matters. Patriots are an absolute shit show right now.
Disaster.
Just real bad.
So I went to the game this week.
Oh yeah, you were there.
I don't have enough punishment spending my Sundays watching the Giants, so I decided to go to the New England Patriots game against the Saints, and that was some of the. I was texting you throughout it, and I'm not even a Patriots fan. I don't care. I wore my Patriots sweatshirt. I collect vintage sweatshirts. I was wearing my vintage Patriots one. I bet on the Saints. I expected the Saints to win, but I was furious the whole game watching it play out in person and like getting to see. I got to go up into the new. They had the lighthouse built there, so they have this gorgeous atrium upstairs, with, like a couple bars, and food. So I got to go up there and you got to see all 22, like basically, like in a very clear sense. And I was ripping my hair out. I texted you and I'm like, this is just bad football. I hate watching bad football. I'm so mad. It was terrible. Terrible.
The Phillies just scored another home run.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I hit another home run. Yeah, Brandon Marsh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the Patriots are an absolute mess. And nothing seems to be going right for them. So
more on them later.
Yeah.
Wide receiver Van Jefferson was traded from the Rams to the Falcons for a late round pick swap. The Broncos released defensive end Randy Gregory, who they signed to a 5-year, $70 million contract last offseason. So those are some.
They didn't release him. They traded him.
Oh, to who? Did I miss that part? Maybe I only saw the first part and I missed the second part.
So they traded him to the Niners.
Okay.
He was initially announced as released.
Okay, that's why I missed it.
And then like an hour later, they're like, "Oh, we're trading him." So
okay, all right, so traded.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are a couple teams who were on bye this week or coming off of bye. That would be the Browns, Chargers, Seahawks, and Buccaneers. And the teams heading to bye this week are the Packers and the Steelers. I think the Packers need it. The Steelers probably kind of wish they weren't going on bye, that they could capitalize a little bit off of their electric win, but
I would.
They're
if I'm the Steelers, I'm glad I'm on bye. I want to figure some things out. I'm
Okay.
thrilled that I'm
Matt
winning
Canada?
the division. Yeah, what I would do is fire Matt Canada. But
You're
that's
going to
beside
spend
the
your
point.
time investigating if that burner account was actually Matt Canada at Steelers.com.
Yeah, I don't think it was because.
Yes, you missed it. It was going around on Twitter.
No, I saw it. Look.
No, I'm just telling the people.
Sorry.
It was going around on Twitter that this account was only replying to things about Matt Canada, right? Like he should keep his job. And there was an account. If you try and log into someone's Twitter and you hit forget password, it'll show like, do you want us to send the password reminder to this email? And it was like MCA, and then like the rest of the letters that would make Canada at S, and then a bunch of blanks. So you don't know that it's him, but a lot of rumors sparked that Matt Canada had a burner account where he was defending himself on Twitter.
And do you know why people go out of their way to check those things now?
Why?
You remember? That's an honest question. Do you remember?
No.
Because the former, at the time, the current general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers was found to have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 burner accounts where he not only insulted his team, he also gave out privileged medical information. Great stuff.
Oh my God.
I feel like you might not believe me when I talk about like how screwed up the years have been for the 76ers, and then I say things like that, and maybe you start to believe me or realize that was like, of the things that have happened in the past 10 years for this franchise, like that's somehow barely talked about. I just want to be very clear about that.
I was going to say, because I hadn't heard that.
Oh yeah, and it was like a dude on Twitter who figured it out. It was a beat reporter. And then all of a sudden one day he like gave his information to the Ringer, and the Ringer just posted an article about it. And the entire internet was like, and they were like well-known burner accounts. They were like people that tweeted about the Sixers knew. They were like, oh my God, I forget their names. I used to know their names, but people were like, oh, that account. Yeah, I've had interactions with that account. He blamed it on his wife, by the way.
Stop.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Great story. If you've never read the book Tanking to the Top by Yaron Weitzman, great book. Even if you're not a basketball or a 76ers fan, it goes through only up to like 2018, just all the screwed up crap that the Sixers have been through, and it's way more entertaining than it should be. But Yaron Weitzman does a very good job with it. So,
Yeah.
moving on.
Crazy. Our players of the week for the AFC on offense, Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, who posted a picture of 7-Eleven after the game saying,
Always open.
For defense, Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, who said he was made for this week after his performance against the Packers. And special teams, Jets kicker Greg Zuerlein. For the NFC, it's offense. It's Bears wide receiver DJ Moore, who now has the most receiving yards in Bears history. On defense, it's Niners linebacker Fred Warner, and on special teams, it's Saints kicker Blake Grupe. Yay!
Eric Jr. Sorry, that's one of the burner account names. Eric Jr. Yep.
On to some key injuries. This list is a little bit longer than we've kept it for this season because it was a big week. I don't even know what the best way to go about this is. We'll just start in the order I have. It's kind of random, but Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson was placed on IR this week for a grade 3 AC joint sprain on his throwing arm. Obviously, reminder, if you're on IR, you do have to miss a minimum of 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, you open a 21-day window to start practicing and be elevated to the official roster. If you're on IR twice in one season, your season is over. So he's going to miss a minimum of 4 weeks. Reports are saying it could be more like 8 after how severe the sprain is in his AC joint.
I don't think there's a 0% chance that they shut him down for the season.
Yes.
Like this is not very far off from the injury that basically destroyed Cam Newton's career.
Yep.
So.
And then that was a conversation on Twitter. Like, was this just a fast track on the Cam Newton path? Giants quarterback Daniel Jones suffered a neck injury. They're kind of have him as day-to-day. Dable's saying it's sore. I do want to just point out that he had a neck injury that ended his 2021 season. And there was speculation at that time about it was fairly severe, that they were like considering should he stop playing football for a little bit longer than just the end of the season. So just something to keep an eye on. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is still dealing with a shoulder injury. The team is unsure if he will play this week. Jets guard Elijah Vera Tucker will miss the rest of the season with a torn Achilles. And
one torn Achilles for one win. That is the deal the Jets made with the devil, apparently.
Seriously. Bills linebacker Matt Milano suffered a fractured leg in London. He has been placed on IR where he is expected to spend the rest of the season. Another couple of big names. Vikings. Matt Milano is just the latest in a string of season-ending injuries on the Bills defense. So keep an eye out on them with outstanding free agents. They'll be working out a couple of people, I'm sure, over the next couple of days and trying to piece together this defense back to what it was before all of these injuries started happening. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson has been placed on IR with a hamstring injury he sustained in his Week 5 game versus the Chiefs after he slipped while running a route. That's also something to keep an eye on, considering the Vikings' current record and the rumors floating around that Kirk Cousins is denying. But there's clearly been some tension with Justin Jefferson and Minnesota this season. So something to keep an eye on, that it may just be longer than the basic 4-week IR.
Yeah.
He is also seeking alternative options. He's going to get second opinions and stuff, which leads me to believe it's a little bit more severe, like actually severe than expected. So that is a tough blow. Cardinals running back James Conner has been placed on IR with a knee injury, as well as Miami running back Devon Achane. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce suffered a low ankle sprain after rolling his foot. He was on New Heights talking about how the debate about turf and grass fields.
It was really Jason who did the talking about the turf.
It was.
He went off a bit.
It was. But he did let Travis Kelce kind of describe why he thinks it happened that way. And he said grass usually if you're sliding, you continue to slide on grass, whereas turf kind of grasps at you. So he feels like he was sliding and the turf kind of caught his cleat, and that's why he rolled his ankle. He did leave the game for a little bit. He came back. He is apparently a go. They are on a short week this week. They're playing Thursday night. Tomorrow, he is expected to play, even though he was limited in practice today. Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch could be placed on IR, so I'm going to keep an eye on with a neck injury he got against the Niners. He has dealt with neck and back issues in the past. He missed 7 games in 2019 and 3 games last year. He, if you're just doing the eye test, is the guy on the Cowboys who wears the neck brace.
That's also why he fell in the draft back in the day.
Yep. So a lot of his, when he was like getting drafted, nobody really knew. No, it wasn't public information what was wrong with his back and neck.
Yeah.
Apparently, it is spinal stenosis. It's like a narrowing of the spinal canal. I don't know if it's cervical or lower in his back, but apparently that was released later on that he did have spinal stenosis. So at this point, looking at how beat reporters are talking about it and coaches are talking about it, I would expect Leighton Vander Esch to be on IR.
I think my dad has spinal stenosis.
Yeah?
I think so.
It's like a narrowing of the spinal canal, basically.
You did say that, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I googled it.
The basic way to describe it.
Would you describe it possibly as like a narrowing of the spinal canal?
I mean, yeah, more so like a narrowing of the spinal
Did you know
canal.
stenosis means narrowing?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like narrowing of the
spinal canal.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of key injuries this week. Those are the big ones.
Just a few.
Just a few. Lots of IR places being taken up on fantasy teams.
That's for sure. People are not thrilled.
Tough one. You did get Cooper Kupp back this week, though. I'm sure you'll talk about that in our next segment.
For one half, yeah.
All right. Lead in, anyway, to our next segment, our 15-second frenzy. You want to remind our viewers what that is?
Yeah, it's when I take 15 seconds to talk about each of the games from this past NFL week. I get 15 seconds to tell you what I want to tell you. Ashley's going to time me and tell me when I have to move on.
Yay. All right. Ready, set, go.
Bears versus Commanders. The Bears came out and absolutely embarrassed the Commanders with DJ Moore having a career high in touchdowns and yards. Sam Howell wasn't bad necessarily. He actually played pretty well in the second half, but Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson did nothing to help their quarterback. Meanwhile, the Bears offense has been looking at least slightly alive these past 2 weeks, which is
next.
New. Jaguars versus the Bills. It really felt like Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen were doing their best to give away the game and competing against each other to do it. It seemed like Trevor was fumbling on every other play, and Allen was reckless with the ball again. The top 3 wide receivers for the Jags all got involved, but Travis Etienne was the reason they won this game with over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Falcons versus Texans. CJ Stroud really just looks like that guy. I really wish I had a more eloquent way of putting it, but he's clearly an NFL quarterback. He drove the field to get the game-winning touchdown at the end, but the Texans defense let the Falcons take the game back. Wasn't flawless by any means, but there are tons of reasons to be thrilled. The Texans, meanwhile, Lions versus Panthers. The Lions keep rolling even without their star wide receiver who's out this week and their rookie running back. The offense is operating on all cylinders, and the defense ain't half bad either, with Aiden Hutchinson really starting to show that he's a star in this league. Adam Thielen seems to be having a second life with the Panthers, but overall the offensive stats feel misleading, as this never really felt like much of a game. Colts versus Titans. Fresh off a brand new contract, Jonathan Taylor ceded his work to Zach Moss, who had a career day. And we can talk more about this later, but it makes me wonder if they should be spending big money on a running back. Shout out to Gardner Minshew for coming in and getting the win for a second time this year. Steichen has this offense flowing really well. By far, DeAndre Hopkins' best game in a Titans uniform. Dolphins versus Giants. The game was a bit closer than it should have been, but also not really competitive at all for a 31-16 game. Kind of confusing. But Devon Achane is averaging 12 yards a carry this season, and that's ridiculous. Darren Waller finally did something for the Giants, and now he's got a hamstring injury. Interesting.
Next.
Giants offensive line is bad. Saints versus Patriots. Second worst loss of Bill Belichick's career, only behind last week's loss. The Patriots look completely deflated with 3 total points over the last 2 games. They missed Jacoby Myers, and they're getting nothing out of the guy that they gave his contract to. This is the best the Saints offense have looked, even if it mostly has to do with the running backs. Steelers versus Ravens. Don't look now, but the Steelers are currently winning the AFC North somehow after beating the Ravens this week. Both teams are flawed, but if you had polled before this week, I'd be hard-pressed to think anyone really thought the Steelers were better than the Ravens, given Matt Canada's running of the Steelers' offense. Apparently, Kenny Pickett audibled at the line. Dang it. We're going to come back to that.
Okay.
Bengals versus Cardinals. Josh Dobbs came crashing back down to earth in this one, and Jamar Chase ascended to a new level with his 3 touchdowns. The Cardinals are probably more competitive than I've been willing to give them credit for, but they never stood much of a chance in this one. The Bengals are by no means fixed and back right, but this was absolutely a step in the right direction.
Next.
Eagles versus Rams. Jalen Carter's absolutely ridiculous, getting 2 sacks on the day, making a ton of plays otherwise. I thought it would be a long day for the Eagles defense as Cooper Kupp got whatever he wanted in the first half, but then only had 1 catch in the second half, and Sean Desai absolutely deserves a lot of credit for his halftime adjustments. Meanwhile, save for the red zone, this is by far the best Eagles have looked on offense this season. Jets versus Broncos. I am absolutely here to see Sean Payton get beaten by Nathaniel Hackett. I feel as though I typically feel bad when teams are getting manhandled on a weekly basis like this Broncos team is, but I can't remember a more unlikable team in recent memory. They are horrible, and everyone just seems to be reveling in it. Also, shout out to Breece Hall. Chiefs versus Vikings. Swifties everywhere held their breath as they saw Travis Kelce go down, but he came back and finished the game strong with a touchdown on just 1 leg. Losing Justin Jefferson changes everything for this Vikings team, as they have very little reason not to tear down now, because there's no way they're going to be going on some miraculous run to save their season without the best wide receiver in football. Niners versus Cowboys. Niners absolutely clapped the Cowboys on national television, and there ain't no 2 ways about it. Breakout game for George Kittle with his 3 touchdowns, another efficient night for Brock Purdy, and a great night for their defense with 3 interceptions, 4 sacks, and a fumble recovery. Cowboys never looked like they stood a chance. Dak was exposed, and now we'll get to see if he can bounce back in a meaningful way. Raiders versus Packers. Just a ton of bad football was played on Monday night. I really have very few positive takeaways. It just took Josh Jacobs until the second half to really get going in what's been a disappointing season. Adams seemed like he was out there to run routes and distract the defense, more so than to actually catch balls. Meanwhile, the only question I have for the Packers after this game is, will the real Jordan Love please stand up?
What a week. All right, let's go back to the point you wanted to finish about the Steelers.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said it, because I knew I'd forget immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Kenny Pickett audibled at the line for the game-winning touchdown where he threw it to Pickens. And Matt Canada was apparently seen furious on the sideline.
No. Box.
Oh, box. My bad. Sorry. Where he's calling plays. And that tells me everything I need to know. Like, I don't get it. He's one of the most confusing coaches in the NFL right now, because there's just no reason that he should have a job.
Yeah.
It's truly that simple. We knew he was bad last year, and he's somehow worse.
And
he's not helping your young. He's not helping your young players develop, clearly. And now you've got this team audibling plays to win a game, and he's angry about it. And it's like, I don't see the point. Mike Tomlin is a great head coach. This is getting away from him, and it will continue to get away from him. And if there is a path to Mike Tomlin losing his job, it's probably his willingness to stick by Canada and refusal to make a change.
Yeah, chants are breaking out at every Pittsburgh sporting event about fire Canada. The video you're referring to, he's seen. It's a video straight from like the offensive box upstairs. Yeah. And everybody in the box goes wild, and he's sitting there like stone cold, no reaction to the game-winning touchdown. Just no emotion after your team wins. It's tough. I don't know how the guy has a job, and I'm not one to like root for people being fired or unemployed. Like, I get that this is these people's careers. Like, I wouldn't want someone cheering for me to lose my job ever, but it's just tough when it's anyone who would be performing like that in their normal day person job would usually lose their job.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a weird one, and I do agree with you that I think Tomlin's possible path to losing his job goes through Canada.
I just don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But whatever. I'm not in enough.
The video is circulating again of a video. I don't know if it was last year, a couple of years ago, but the video of Chris Boswell. They won a game, and they're walking in the tunnel to go back to the locker room, and Matt Canada is hyping everyone up, like, "Yeah, good game, good game." And Chris Boswell goes, "It ain't because of you. I can tell you that much."
I have not seen that.
No, I'll have to find it for you. Hold on.
Geez.
Let me see if I could send you talk about some stuff, and let me see if I can find the video.
Okay. Because you're going to leave me on an island like that, I'm going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Jalen
Okay.
Carter is ridiculously awesome. He currently has 3.5 sacks in 5 games. And for reference, that is more than such names in their rookie season as Dexter Lawrence, Javon Hargrave, Jeffrey Simmons, and a ton of other all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackles in what they did with their in their rookie seasons. He's currently on pace to have more sacks than both Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh had in their rookie seasons, both of which won Defensive Rookie of the Year, and both of which had over 10 or more sacks. No, Donald had 9, Suh had 10, and both made either a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro. And that doesn't even count the fact that Jalen Carter, I believe, is now first in pressures for defensive tackles in the entire league. And he's doing it while getting double teamed at an incredible rate.
Doing it without even having played the Giants yet.
Yep.
Which seems to boost everybody's defensive stats.
Oh, and
everyone's like, oh, I saw a tweet the other day that was like, I was going to look at like this. I go to look at these stats of these guys who are ranked so high, and every last one of them seems to have had a game against the Giants so far. It's like, yeah.
Yep.
I think I sent you that video on Twitter.
Okay.
They're walking in the tunnel. Looks like it's a better view of it, so I'll double send. The latest one is a better view of it.
Okay,
You
I'm
can
not
play
going to
it
watch
on
it
here.
right now.
Oh,
you
okay.
want
I
me
thought
to?
you were just gonna play it on here.
I mean, I can. Great podcasting.
Incredible, truly.
Here we go. Full screen. That's not what you like to see.
That video was from October 22. So this literally
Last
this
season.
week last year.
Yeah.
The Phillies won.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
Go Phils.
I'm a Phillies fan this offseason, so I
Welcome.
told you, rooting for them. They just have the vibes.
Oh, they got the vibes. They got
They
that
got the
man
vibes.
said vibes, baby. I'm in
I
the
saw a
corner
tweet
watching
that was
you
like,
kiss her.
I'm rooting for
That's on my own.
the baseman who has the long hair.
That would be
And then
Brandon
somebody quote tweeted it and was like, he recently discovered rain this season, and there's a video of him like sticking his hand out like from under the dugout, and he's like looking at his hand like he like literally just figured out what rain is.
No, they're like, this team is ridiculous. This isn't a baseball podcast.
No,
I'll spend 10
okay,
seconds
we'll talk
on
about it
It's
after.
just, they're stupid. They're lovable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so entertaining. And also, Nick Castellanos will die on the hill that Scooby-Doo is a superhero, and that is a thing. So
Incredible, should be. Any other performances you want to talk about this week? Anything you want to point out before we move on to our main segment?
let's move on to our main segment. If I think of
Okay.
stuff, we'll do it as we move on.
Okay, so we are going to create a tier list for if you should be panicking about your team, if we think they're panicking, or if we think you should be as a fan. So we'll pull that up and we're going to go through it. We don't have this set in advance. We're going to pick this as we go. Okay. Do you want to start up top? Worried? What is that?
We should probably.
Oh.
What is what?
Yeah. I said worried? What is that?
I was going to
That's the
say
name
we
of the
should probably
tier.
start by telling the podcast listeners.
Okay, we
what
should-
they
we
can't
should do that.
see.
Okay, so there's 5 tiers here. At the top, worried. What is that? Teams that have never heard that word. The next tier down is getting kind of nervous. People getting a little antsy. Next is starting to sweat. Next is mom, pick me up. I'm scared. And the next
We've all
is
been there.
well beyond panic.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure there's lots of teams down there at this point of the season already. So
And this is obviously in relation to expectations and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. Like,
Yep.
if the Eagles were 3-2, then that's a lot different than the Texans being 3-2. So
Yeah.
not just about record.
Yep, and I want to. It's not just fully about this season. It is, it's a little bit like expectations and future and all that stuff. How you feel about your draft classes and the direction your franchise is heading. So we'll get started. I think there's 2 clear cut right at the top. Worried, what is
We're
that?
going in order of division. See, I have them listed.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll put them in a tier. I went out of my way to put them in division order.
I thought we were going in tier order.
No, you don't do it. How have you never watched a YouTube video of a YouTuber making a tier list? Like,
no, I usually just see the outcomes.
Like, this is, oh my God. Like, when you said it to me earlier and I laughed about it and you were like, why are you laughing? It's like,
well, it's because I usually just see the screen grabs of the tiers at the end.
no, you go through and you don't do it by tier. That doesn't make any sense. That's no fun. Then everyone knows where they're gonna be.
Oh, that's true.
Oh my God, I shouldn't be explaining this to you right now.
Okay, so divisions. Are we starting with the NFCs? Because you have that first.
They're at the top left.
Okay, Eagles. For me, very clearly and worried. What is that?
Yeah. I mean, like there are improvements that need to be had. The red zone offense has been pretty horrendous, but considering the fact that their offense is playing lights out everywhere else on the field, there's a lot of hope that they're going to get it figured out. So, yeah, they're 5-0. They're one of 2 undefeated teams. There's not a ton to say there.
Yeah.
And also, the players that you expect to be playing well are playing well or exceeding expectations. Like, there's no one that's like overly underperforming that is an important part of this team. I say, hoping that I'm right because I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anyone. But anyway, yeah.
I also think like if we had this conversation even a week ago, I think you might be teetering a little bit. Maybe not just Eagles fans.
If we're being honest, I'm down here.
Why?
Because I'm a Philadelphia fan and I never am happy.
Okay.
Like we won the game and I'm worried about the points we didn't score. Like if we're being honest about this, me as a Philadelphia fan, biased and all, I am putting them well beyond panic because I'm terrified at all times. Like that's reality. But yeah, no. In all honesty, it's like I'm not really.
Yeah. They're the clear cut one of this division. The next. I think there's one more clear-cut one here. The 2 of them are a little bit wonky, but the Cowboys. Okay, so for me, I'm putting them more in the Mom, come pick me up, I'm scared.
Wow.
I don't know.
Aggressive.
It is, but after a couple of... I think it's very clear that this team on offense cannot perform unless the defense is performing well. You go up against, you're showing that you want to be a deep playoff team. You go against a obviously very good 5-0 Niners team, and you can't make anything happen. Your big win, you lose to the Cardinals. Your biggest win comes against the Giants, who are well below that. In all honesty, they're probably starting to sweat, but for me personally, I kind of expected Dak to not look good, so I would really put him in like, Mom, come pick me up, I'm scared, because I just don't think he's the guy they need him to be.
Since you have them in between those 2, I'm going to put them in starting to sweat because that's where I would personally put them. For everything you said, yeah. I think losing Trayvon Diggs is huge. Losing Leighton Vander Esch is pretty big. He's the best part of that run defense that has not been a good run defense. And apparently there was a report that they're considering putting Micah Parsons back at like off-ball linebacker for some of his snaps. And that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard because I've said it before. They got lucky that they drafted him and had a ton of injuries that forced them to figure out how good of a pass rusher he is. So like whatever. But yeah, I'm putting them in starting to sweat for me personally.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's good because I was kind of teetering on the 2. For me, I had them a little bit lower because I think the core piece is Dak, and I don't think Dak is the guy they expected them to be, and that is scary for them. But I'm comfortable putting them in starting to sweat.
The New York Football Giants
are well beyond panic.
Yep.
Well beyond it. If there was a tier lower than this, they would be there. If there were 5 tiers lower than this, they would be there. This team is arguably the worst in the league currently.
They are one of.
One of.
And they're also not in a position that is enviable to any of them. They aren't the
Yep.
Cardinals with a bunch of first-round picks.
They're not the Panthers who knew they were going to be rebuilding.
Yep.
That is why I consider them to be the worst team in the league at this point. Everything is broken. I could spend an entire hour going through the list of things that are broken. The offense is broken.
Honestly.
The offensive line is...
It was never...
Is there anything worse than Swiss
broken.
cheese? Anything worse than Swiss cheese for an
I
offensive
think,
line?
just a
Non-existent?
hole.
Invisible?
Like,
You're better off just putting like that one play where they had Ezekiel Elliott at center.
oh my
and just
God.
Zeke and Dak. You might be better doing that.
I
instead
love
of
that
having
that
an
was his
offensive
last
line.
play as a Dallas Cowboy. That is so poetic. I
Right?
hate Zeke and I hate the Cowboys, so love it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, you paid Daniel Jones. You have Saquon Barkley on a franchise tag who's been out for 3 weeks now.
which
with,
is not abnormal for him to
No, not abnormal.
remind everyone.
Not abnormal, but you draft Evan
But
Neal
hey.
fairly high in a draft, and he can't perform. He is starting arguments. We're back to the point where the Giants
Oh
are
my
starting arguments
God,
with their
we never
fans.
talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh, give me like 30 seconds on that.
Okay.
Because I'm a Philly guy and I need to because it deals with
Mhm.
fans. Biggest loser energy I've ever heard. I'd
Yep.
cut him tomorrow. I don't care what the contract is. Saquon Barkley coming in to save the day and actually legitimately saying, dude, you can't do that
Mhm.
because they deserve this. Like they
Mhm.
deserve better. And you know why that is? Because he's a Philly guy. He's like one of those athletes. Michael Parsons is another one where it's like they pretend like they hate Philly because of the divisional thing, but like in all honesty, they want to be here. The biggest loser energy in the world, dude. These fans were there before you, and they're going to be there long after you.
Yep.
Biggest, such big loser energy, and I hate it.
Yep.
Oh man, I'll sit
If you
here on
didn't
those
see,
losers.
if you didn't see his comments, it was a bunch of stuff about how like he was asked about how the fans are kind of like flaming him on Twitter every week. In my opinion, rightfully so. And he said, lions don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. So, yeah not
just
great.
Loser energy.
Yeah. Either way, you paid a bunch of people and you drafted a bunch of people, and none of them are good. Well beyond panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Washington Commanders?
This is tough for me. I think. All right. So, like, it comes down to like expectations on this one, right?
Yep.
Like, because a lot of people did not expect a bunch out of this season. I think they're kind of overperforming for what people expected. This last week does put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because it felt very discombobulated, not even from a player standpoint, from a personnel and play calling standpoint, which I didn't like. But I'm not going to
flamed his team on Twitter.
to do that.
Like,
So I'm going to put it as kind of nervous, but
I was gonna say, Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
yeah.
When you're
Why?
getting like, because I just think they're one step away from a teardown. The type of teardown that
That's
means
true.
even a Terry McLaurin is leaving town because Josh Harris, I hate him. He just spent a crap ton of money to buy this. Magic Johnson, a part-time owner or part owner, is literally flaming the effort of his players on Twitter. Ron Rivera is going to be out as head coach. The only reason he hasn't been out before now is because there was no reason for Dan Snyder to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with that. I didn't even really think about a bunch of that. So I'm comfortable with that.
Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared, says the
Yes.
Washington Commander.
Yep. All right. The New Orleans Saints. A case of very good defense, fairly inefficient offense so far this season. Where do you think you're placing them?
I'm probably in starting to sweat because you signed Derek Carr, or did they trade for him? I forget which, honestly. I know he chose to go there, but I forget which one it actually was. Regardless, you're paying Derek Carr a decent amount of money. You thought that he was going to take you to be competitive. You thought you had a run on the division with Tom Brady retiring, the Falcons and the Panthers just not being very good. And yeah, so in my opinion, I would probably put them in starting to sweat because Derek Carr hasn't been performing very well. The defense is good. They're doing okay, but they don't. There's an argument to be made they're the third best team in this division, and they keep selling future assets to win now, and they're not doing any winning. So that's not ideal.
Curious case of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, well.
I agree with you on starting to sweat. I think your defense is overperforming. Your offense is mediocre. You have a couple of key pieces, but I don't know that you're there at quarterback, and I don't know that Derek Carr is going to be the guy to get you a win. So I'm starting to sweat about that.
What do you think about these Carolina Panthers?
These blue and black Carolina Panthers. I'm putting them in. All right. I am very skewed about the comments this week about the owner's involvement.
Oh yeah. Yep.
In what started a big conversation about the owner's involvement and possibly how it seems at the last minute the Carolina Panthers changed their minds and drafted Bryce Young
instead of CJ Stroud, who
Instead
is
of CJ
falling out
Stroud.
right now for the Houston Texans. For context.
Yes. So I think I'm gonna right now put them in pick me up, I'm scared.
Wow, we are far apart tonight.
Yeah, we're not on the same page.
I'm at getting kind of nervous for all the same reasons, but the reality being that no one expected anything out of them. Like, the fact of the matter is you still got a top 2 quarterback in this class, at least like draft position wise.
Yeah, but I think as a fan, I'm still terrified with how he's performed. Like, absolutely terrified.
So I'm not absolutely terrified because he's a rookie playing on a bad offense. Like, they don't have a lot of skill. That's why I'm getting kind of nervous. But that's also, like, it depends on the type of fan you are. Like, when the Eagles had Carson Wentz his rookie season, and he wasn't, like, they weren't winning a ton of games, I saw flashes here or there that I'm like, oh, that's good. You know, that's all I need to see. It got to the point where I wasn't seeing any flashes. That's when I would start to be worried. I haven't seen too many from Bryce Young. That's why I'm getting kind of nervous. But, like, for me as a rookie quarterback, like, yeah, if he's performing like CJ Stroud, that's awesome. But all I need to see to, like, remain kind of worried when they're on a bad team with bad positional players and a bad offensive line, I just need to see a little bit every now and then. And, like, you know, Adam Thielen's doing stuff. So, like, I mean, it's something. And also I believe in Frank Reich. Okay. But I'm happy to meet you in the middle at starting
I think meeting in the middle on that one. Because I get where you're coming from, and I know I'm over-exaggerating a bit, but I still think I'm a little bit more worried than you are.
I'm positive that some people feel the same way.
Yes. All right. Arthur Smith, Bijan Robinson, Desmond Ridder. Where are you putting this team?
Mom, pick me up. I'm scared. And it's... I'm about to sneeze. You talk.
What do you want me to talk about? I was asking you where you were going to put them.
You could have just started talking about the Atlanta Falcons. It wasn't like it's not that big of a deal. But Arthur Smith is just a bad head coach. They traded for Van Jefferson. I'm not really sure why, because they're barely using the weapons that they have. By the way, they have really good weapons. Yes. Their defense has been pretty solid because they've put a lot of players on there. AJ Terrell seems like a really, really good cornerback. Jesse Bates has already paid off. They've got talent and they're wildly underperforming. And I get it. It's Desmond Ridder, but, like, then just be creative. Like, you're not the first dude. Speaking of Arthur Smith, you're not the first dude to have awesome skill players and a bad quarterback. Like, you can make this offense look better than it is if you're just mildly creative, but instead he refuses to do anything innovative or fun. And I nothing bothers me more. And I realized this recently, particularly on defense with the Eagles, Sean Desai versus Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon, he did nothing to improve the talent of his players. And he said, I'm just going to do my thing. And if we lose, I'm fine doing my thing. Sean Desai made a massive change at halftime with what he did to stop Cooper Kupp. He's throwing everything out all the time, and he's getting the most out of his players. I'd rather have that as a head coach. Arthur Smith is not that. But you have great players, but you're doing nothing with them. And if they keep sort of winning games in a weak division, like, what if he stays? That's my worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So that's why it's Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
I'm comfortable with that choice. I think the use of Drake London and Bijan Robinson has been weird. Tyler Algier still is the top running back on that team.
No, I will give him credit. It's Bijan now. The Tyler Algier experiment is, it's not overly. They're mixing him in. Bijan is the lead guy.
Yes, and it's starting to transition that way. But the first few weeks, he was really still testing out that Tyler Algier experiment. But your wins come against teams that are not great, that are completely in rebuild mode. So I'm comfortable with that. All right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I kind of think that it's worried. What is that? Because
Okay.
like, I
think I'm gonna do getting kind of nervous just because they didn't sign Mike Evans to a contract
yeah,
extension.
that's
You're
what I
having
was
an
thinking about,
aging
yeah.
defense, but this team is well overperforming expectations. So I think I'm comfortable with putting them in getting kind of nervous, just for long term, like way down the line.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. Like they don't have a lot to lose. No one expected anything out of them, and they're probably like I think there's a good chance they win this division. So, but yeah, no, the Mike Evans thing scares me. I think for sure.
Yeah, and an aging defense. Like I know they've been trying to get a bunch of younger people on that defense, but a lot of your core players are aging out of that defense. So
yeah,
you're starting a rebuild while kind of actually surprisingly being good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you in getting kind of nervous.
Good franchises are able to do that sometimes. We're yet to see if that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, but they're doing it right now. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Wow, shocker. The two teams that everyone thought overperformed to a ridiculous degree last year are now in well beyond panic.
Wow.
I'm assuming we don't need to discuss where we're putting the Vikings, and we're putting
No, this is not a discussion. It's just pointing out why we're putting them there, with Justin Jefferson on IR and absolutely hating his team. Kirk Cousins on the end of his deal with a no trade clause. Family man, who I doubt will waive that no trade clause, even though they're going to be shopping him in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson specifically said that he doesn't want to sign, or sorry, the report was that he doesn't want to sign there until he has confirmation of the future of the quarterback position, which is very fair as a wide receiver. So, yeah, not a lot to be excited about there.
No.
Really just nothing at all. They've been pretty horrible, and there's not a lot of ways out for it, so I'm not really sure there's a ton more to say.
No. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions. Worried. What is that?
Is that what it is for you?
That is.
I'm torn.
Between what?
I was all in going into the draft, and then they've talked me out of it every step of the way since. It's not a fantasy thing. It's just stupid that they keep giving David Montgomery the ball so much comparatively to Jahmyr Gibbs. Unless
I don't know that you could be mad about it when it's working this well.
But here's the thing. What does it matter that it's working right now against bad teams? Like what? Like the argument that you're making is that David Montgomery being inefficient and less effective than Jahmyr Gibbs is leading to wins. So the question I ask you is, are they winning because he's inefficient and they're giving him the ball a ton, or are they winning in spite of it? And the logical answer there is they're winning in spite of the fact that he is being overused comparatively to how talented he is. And if they keep doing that, it's not going to work forever. And I don't get it. Why would you spend the 12th overall pick on a running back, which already is stupid and dumb? And by the way, they could have just drafted Jalen Carter at the pick that they were originally at. Just by the way. But they said, no, we hate DeAndre Swift. We're going to trade him for nothing. By the way, he's doing great. And we're going to draft a running back at 12th overall. But by the way, Dan Campbell is going to go in a press conference today and say, yeah, David Montgomery's our workhorse. Jahmyr Gibbs is a changeup.
Yeah.
I love the idea of drafting a changeup running back at 12 overall in the draft.
I saw this tweet today from Tej Seth, and he said, quote, if you flip the Lions' first and second round picks where Sam Laporta and Brian Branch were picked at 12 and 18, and
stupid.
And Jamar Gibbs and Jack Campbell were picked at 34 and 45, then the draft makes sense, I said for the 10th time as she packed up the car and left with the kids.
I do. I love those. I love those tweets. I love those types of tweets. It's stupid. I'm fine to put them in worried. What is that? Because maybe worried's not the right word. But no, I am worried. but maybe it's not to the point of getting kind of nervous. I
For
don't
one
know.
reason, I'm okay moving them down a notch because they're the Detroit Lions. like it's
Yeah,
the Lions.
for me, that's even more reason to not put them there.
Okay, so you want
That's
to
even
keep
more
them?
reason. Yeah, I'm fine with leaving them and worried. What
Okay.
is that?
All right.
It's a very personal thing.
Okay.
And yeah, so
All right.
Chicago Bears.
I kind of want you to go first on this one because I am all over the place.
I'm just putting them in well beyond panic.
Okay.
Because I think it would be lying to say anything other than that. Regardless of how good they might have looked last week, like we are well beyond panic because we were panicking 3 weeks ago, and it hasn't really slowed down. No one believes that Justin Fields is now a franchise quarterback all of a sudden, or that they have a competent coaching staff because they beat the freaking Washington Commanders. So, like, yeah, it's that simple for me. And also all the crap going on with their defensive coordinator. Like, this franchise is an absolute joke right now. And there's no reason to think that's not the case. Yeah, they won a game. Great. Awesome. DJ Moore looked incredible. That's not making me feel better long term.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel good for a second. It's like drugs. Don't do drugs.
I'm comfortable with that. I was teetering.
You're comfortable with drugs?
Comfortable with not doing drugs.
Great.
No, I was teetering between like mom come pick me up, I'm scared, and well beyond panic, and I think I was skewed a little bit by this week's performance. So I'm perfectly happy to put them down at the bottom. Yeah. The Green Bay Packers, I think I am putting in mom come pick me up, I'm scared.
Oh, see, I'm in starting to sweat.
Okay.
I know they have a good head coach.
Yep.
They've got good talent at the wide receiver position. Like, I'm pretty confident in that. They've got a solid defense. And it's just like it's Jordan Love's fifth career start.
It's so crazy to think about.
Like, yeah, he never started.
I know. It's just
he's
crazy
played, but he never started, from what I remember. So yeah, I'm starting to sweat. I'm definitely starting to feel like wary about Jordan Love. Because the reality is you need to know by the end of the season who he is. Yeah. But that's why I'm trusting my head coach. And yeah, I don't know. I personally, I would be starting to sweat. Okay. I'm good with that. The Niners, we don't even need to talk about. They're in worried. What is that? And probably will be for the next ever. The Arizona Cardinals. An interesting case of expectations. I have no idea. I don't even like if we're being real. Okay, I'll make my case. I think I'm moving them down one more notch because into getting kind of nervous because I don't know that Josh Dobbs is my long-term guy, and he's definitely not your long-term guy. That's what I'm saying. But there are I don't think they think he is, though, to be fair. Yes, but there are rumors amok about Kyler Murray, them being completely done with Kyler Murray. So I'm just getting kind of nervous at that. Like, I need a franchise quarterback, but even though you're 1-4, you're playing well beyond expectations. You've kept it close with nearly everyone and you beat the Cowboys. You want me to tell you the only reason I'm nervous? Why? Is because Caleb Williams doesn't want to play for you. Yeah. That's it for me. Yep. The fact that I expected them to go 0-17 because I think Jonathan Gannon is a stupid, dumb idiot. He's maybe proven me wrong a little bit, but I still hate him. The only reason I'm nervous is because none of this matters if you don't get your franchise quarterback out of it. I don't think it's Kyler anymore. I don't think it ever was going to be. I think it was always the goal was to be Caleb Williams, and the reality is he might not want to play there, and he's going to make more money in college. They've been very outspoken about that. So yeah, we might have an Eli Manning, John Elway type situation on our hands. Yeah. So. Or who knows? Maybe we do it might almost be more like Jim Kelly, who just played in the USL until that folded, and then he had to go play for the Bills. So maybe we get one of those. The USFL is a thing. USFL is a thing there. It is. All right, let's move on to the 3-1 Seattle Seahawks. This one, I have no idea what to do with them. I think I'm going to put it...
I don't even know. What are you doing?
I am getting kind of nervous. I think personally, because I didn't. I mean, you and I both thought that they would win the division.
Yeah.
But I don't know if either of us thought that they were going to be like favorites for a Super Bowl at any point. I don't. I've never been totally clear with what my expectations were for the
Yeah.
Seahawks, and that's why I'm only kind of getting kind of nervous because I think they are sort of exactly who I thought they were.
Okay, I agree with that,
In a
and we
lot of
both
ways.
viewed them very, very similarly.
Yeah.
All right, so the Los Angeles Rams, another curious case. I saw a tweet before we rank them. Did you see that tweet I sent you a little while ago, where there's a Twitter account that says that the Rams have dedicated 34.3% of the entire salary cap to players not on their team and are still like a potential playoff team.
Yeah, that's not
I
shocking.
think, yeah, I think they're well exceeding my expectations for this year, but I'm still worried about my future, even though I have like Puka Nacua breaking out. So I guess I'm just middle here, like starting to sweat, I guess. I don't know.
I'm in getting kind of nervous. I
Okay, I'm fine
I
with that.
almost lean toward worried. What is that? Because again, I had no expectations.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm getting kind of nervous is because you're right. Like they are getting kind of close to competing, but how close will they be, and what does that mean for their future? Like,
Yeah.
I feel uneasy about the fact that they're good. To be honest, I'd almost rather them just kind of be terrible.
Yeah.
But instead, you're
Totally.
seeing young players play well for the most part.
Yep.
So
The Miami Dolphins, who I comfortably place and worried. What is that at this point? Do you?
I am undecided. There's a part of me that wants to put them at getting kind of nervous. We don't.
I agree.
have to.
I was floating that too, but just because of like I'm still always every snap he takes going to be worried about Tua's health and his how much this is reliant. We are reliant on him, but the offense has just been firing on all cylinders. The defense has been playing fairly well. I'm not worried at this moment.
I still have them a tier below what I consider like the top Super Bowl contenders. And I can't really give you a singular reason why, which is why I'm fine leaving them in worried. What is that? But there is something in the back of my head that is telling me that I should be worried. The New England Patriots. I moved them right into well beyond panic, unless you disagree.
Exactly where they belong to be.
Yeah,
no clear path forward.
The only thing that was good about it is now injured now for the season in Christian Gonzalez. Mac Jones, who the heck knows what they have? I don't think they have a franchise quarterback. It doesn't seem like it. They've been terrible at drafting. Bill Belichick now as a GM and a coach is very questionable, and it is really starting to look like he is not going to be around as the head coach for the New England Patriots for very long.
Yep.
I don't know what that means in terms of retirement, going somewhere else, moving into a different role in the franchise. I have no idea. But if I'm a New England Patriots fan, I have no clue what's going on, and I don't feel good about any of it. So
100% agree. Nothing else to add. The Buffalo Bills.
Where do you have them?
Starting to sweat.
Wow. Okay.
I have lost so many key players on my defense.
Yep.
Josh Allen at the beginning of the he's been getting better 100%, but at the beginning of the year was still showing those Josh Allen giving away the ball and kind of not where we need him to be. Like I said, he is getting better in the last few weeks, but
the reality is the expectation is Super Bowl.
Yes, and I don't know that they're there.
And this is that is comparative. Like the Dallas Cowboys, their internal expectation might have been Super Bowl. Mine personally wasn't, and I think they're much worse off than the Bills. But the Bills, it's Super Bowl or bust when you have Josh Allen and what you've been doing over these last couple of years. And like right now, the way they're playing, I don't see a world where they even make the Super Bowl.
No, and there's sideline tension. Even though they want to deny it, Stephon Diggs keeps getting very frustrated on the sidelines. It's just there's a lot going on there.
I think we need to see Haley Steinfeld come to a game.
Yeah, the Taylor Swift effect, but for Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, love Haley Steinfeld.
All right, the New York Jets.
She's dating Josh Allen, by the way, if you're unaware.
Jeez. Where are you putting them?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's well beyond panic because you lost Aaron Rodgers 4 snaps into his Jets career. Robert Saleh might be losing the locker room. You just lost the best piece on your terrible offensive line. Like, why aren't you? If you're not panicking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And can I have some of it?
Again, drugs.
Yeah. I don't have a ton to say. Other than I don't know what I mean, Aaron Rodgers still says he's coming back for the playoffs, but
Yeah. At this rate, though,
I don't know what his witch voodoo is going to do to him, but like they're not making the playoffs.
his witch
so.
voodoo. He's gonna start vaccine wars with Travis Kelce.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I
just-
saw a tweet before we move on. I saw a tweet that was like, all it took. Aaron Rodgers spent so much time getting in everyone's good graces all like off season in New York, and then he's out for the season, and it took 4 weeks for him to revert back to the old Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Yeah. In all honesty, like I think it's even more than that. It's like if you go back to like a full year ago, maybe a year plus a little, I don't think anyone disliked Aaron Rodgers. He was a very likable player. And then it's just like, dude, what are you doing? And it's just like, shut up.
Yeah.
For me, it's ever since he showed his foot during a press conference.
Oh, that was terrible.
I hated that. And I just don't like feet. So I guess if you're a
Neither.
foot person, like maybe you enjoyed that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
No.
Kansas City Chiefs, are you worried at all?
Never.
No, they have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
They have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, they could lose like 3 straight games, and I still don't think I'm worried because once they get to the playoffs, there's not a team I would less like to play. So, yeah, they're the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not worried.
The Denver Broncos, on the other hand, are well beyond panic, in my opinion.
Did you agree with what I said? Like, can you think of a more hateable team in recent years? Because like I don't think anything about this team has been likable. Russ went from like one of the most likable players in the NFL to just like a joke,
a laughing stock. You've got Sean Payton, who like people didn't like for sure, but I think the fact that I don't think many people dislike Drew Brees, and the whole New Orleans Saints thing with their Super Bowl with Katrina, like there was reason to like Sean Payton, and he also was succeeding. Now it's just like, dude, shut up. You are the worst. Everything you say is terrible. It makes me want to hit him with my car. He's talking shit about Nathaniel Hackett. And it's like, I didn't like Hackett either, but like, I'm pretty sure as a coach, you shouldn't be doing that. No.
And just like, it's just the worst.
Did you see Robert Saleh in their handshake after the game said, stay humble.
Stay humble, baby.
Stay humble.
Stay humble.
And this team, no matter how bad they were last year, this team still had high expectations for themselves. You spent so much capital on Russell Wilson. You trade for your coach.
Oh my God, I forgot they traded for him. I forgot that's how it works.
You trade for your coach. This team had expectations. They still have big names on that roster who are not making a difference. And it seems like they're going to be having should be having a garage sale soon, whether Sean Payton wants to or not. Yep.
Also, play Marvin Mims, you cowards. Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
For me personally, I put them in come pick me up, I'm scared.
Yep.
And
you lost Mike Williams.
Yep.
You have a new offensive coordinator, and it seems to be the same old offense. And
which, to be fair, their offense is like top 5 in the league.
Yes. But
it's not the most inspiring offense
about it. It just always feels like they're like on top of like this thin pole, and it's like wobbly and windy.
I think that's just the Chargers more so than the offense.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the Chargers.
Yeah.
Like I feel
their defense is terrible, and Brandon Staley sucks.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like, more than half the reason they're in Mom Come Pick Me Up, I'm scared is because if I was a Chargers fan, I don't think I would ever sleep at night before a game, because how do you feel good going into any game ever? How do you feel good with a lead? Like, it's never worked out for you. Don't have a lead, and you're going to feel better. So, yeah, Mom Come Pick Me Up, I'm scared.
Yep. All right. The Raiders, I think I'm also placing there.
Mom Come Pick Me Up, I'm scared.
Yeah. I think you still have really key players on offense and defense. This team is not performing as well as I would have wanted them to. I think they're well within my expectations of outcomes.
Yeah, I didn't have I didn't have high expectations, which is
No.
kind of why I agree with you.
But I think internally think they should be doing better, and I just don't know that their coaching staff is it.
You got Mark
and-
Davis fighting with fans.
Yes, and I just think you're on a downward slope, which is very scary.
Yeah. I think if I expected more out of them, which some people did, they'd probably be in well beyond panic. But like honestly, I had no expectations.
No.
I knew what they were, and they're showing me they are exactly who they were. Jimmy Garoppolo has been a little bit worse than I thought, to be honest. But like it really just feels like like a Raiders-sized implosion is coming. You can take the Oakland out of the Raiders, but you can take the Raiders out of Oakland, but you can't take the Oakland out of the Raiders. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, you take the helm for these Tennessee Titans.
I don't know. Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
Okay,
I can't put them in like
live.
Yeah, for the last couple of years anyway. I can't put them in well beyond panic because like they're not playing the worst football that's ever existed, but like I'm definitely scared. I don't feel good about anything. DeAndre Hopkins looks good, but like okay, what does that matter? Why does anything like there should be a tier where it's just like I don't care. What do you matter? Like you almost don't belong in here because I can't have a feeling toward you at all.
Yeah.
And that's the Titans to me. And that's, I guess I'm viewing Mom Come Pick Me Up as I'm scared as like, I just kind of want to leave. Just get me away from this. I'm not going to waste my time panicking. I'm just going to leave before that happens, which is healthy. And that's called taking care of yourself.
Protecting your peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes. The Indianapolis Colts. I think I am putting them, after the news this week, I think I'm putting them in starting to sweat.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anthony Richardson has played in, 3 games in his career? And he's gotten injured in twice. He's finished 1 full game.
Yeah. I'm really happy with the moves my team has made. I think we're on the right trajectory, but our entire path forward was Anthony Richardson, and now he may be out for the rest of the season and with an injury that has ended people's careers.
Yeah, it's not a type of injury that's just like, oh, he's going to heal and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
No,
it's
this
his
is like
arm.
It's his throw. It's shoulder on his throwing arm, and guess what you need to throw the football?
Shoulder.
And also, you just paid Jonathan Taylor a crap ton of money, and I'm not sure if it's worth it. Yeah, starting to sweat, I believe, is a good place to be. A week ago, I would not have felt that way.
No.
I would have felt really, really good.
Yeah.
These Jacksonville Jaguars.
Indeed, the London Jaguars.
Yeah. Getting kind of nervous for me.
Yes. Yep, agreed. I think you're
believe in-
still not in that, like, the expectation again is deep playoff run. I don't even want to say Super Bowl.
I don't think it's Super Bowl yet, but
I think it's deep playoff run. I think you've shown several weaknesses so far. I think they're doing a really good job at adapting when weaknesses come up, but I'm still kind of nervous that the weaknesses keep popping up and in different areas.
Yeah. I believe in Doug. I believe in Trevor Lawrence. I like their weapons on offense. Past that, I'm just not sure what talent they have on the team, especially on defense outside of Josh Allen, not the quarterback. They're not a deep team on defense. They don't have a plethora of talent, and I think that's going to hold them back. But, Trevor Lawrence, I think, is one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and this team is probably going to go as far as he can take them, and he's been impressive as long as Doug Peterson has been the head coach. So that's why they're not any farther down.
Yep.
And the Houston Texans, tell me where you put them.
I'm putting them in worried. What is that?
Why?
I think you absolutely nailed it with CJ Stroud. You have DeMeco Ryans as head coach, who, as of right now, I completely believe in. He's doing a fantastic job. Even their positions I didn't expect to be so great are doing good. And your defense is improving. You're putting up consistent fights against teams that you were expected to lose to. Yep. I just think this team is on the absolute perfect path forward for them.
Will Anderson, the other first-round pick, has been playing really well. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, all been impressive. Yeah, I agree. The offensive line has been way better than it probably should have been, considering all their injuries. So, I'm right there with you. I'm enjoying the ride right now as a Texans fan. I don't really care if I win or lose. We don't have
That
our first round.
secondary has lost like 4 people and then just
doesn't even
filled the
matter.
gap every single time. You would never know. They're doing such a good job. I'm excited to watch the Texans on a week in and week out basis.
Which is not something I've been able to say for a few years.
Very long time.
All right, we got one division left. It's the AFC North, and we are starting with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Starting to sweat, maybe? Getting kind of nervous? I don't know. I'm kind of teetering.
I'm starting to sweat.
Okay.
The offense seems like it's been better, but it hasn't really produced in the way that I've wanted it to. And watching, and like part of it is injuries. Like part of it is the reality that they've had so many injuries, but that plays into it. I believe in Lamar. I believe in John Harbaugh. I think their defense has been really solid for the most part. But outside of Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, there's not a ton to be excited about on that offense.
No.
So yeah, I'm definitely, and they just lost to the Steelers, who I think
And
we can
here's
both
my
agree
thing.
are not that good.
I agree. The Steelers not being good, but I also agree with starting to sweat now that I'm thinking about it. Because the 2 games that I'm going to point to for moving them there is the game against the Colts with some really poor decisions, and the same thing it was the same type of game. Really poor decisions, drops by players. I don't want to I think Lamar's doing everything he can.
There were a ton of drops. Zay Flowers had like 9 drops. I just pointed to him as a positive, but he had a lot of drops, as did Rashad Bateman in the end zone.
Yep, and you just paid Lamar a lot of money. I think he's playing really well. I still want him to put, I guess, a little bit more on his back. But those 2 games are my key points for saying I'm starting to sweat. If I'm looking at those 2 games, those are terrifying to me as a Ravens fan.
I agree. The aforementioned Pittsburgh Steelers. I am very simply, Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared. And it's because I go to work with Matt Canada every single day.
Yep.
And that's why I want my mom to come pick me up.
Yep. And Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 2 left. The Cincinnati Bengals. I am also putting in Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
Interesting. I probably would have gone for starting to sweat. So tell me why.
Okay. This is a make or break year for you. You have a ton of players coming up on deals that you're going to have to pay. I think you're starting to realize that if Joe Burrow, this team may not be as good as you. They're good. They're good. I don't want to be misrepresented here, but they may not be as. I think Joe Burrow is carrying a lot of this team, and seeing him hurt and not being able to play to the best of his ability has changed my opinion a little bit. I think they're on the up for this season, but in general, I'm kind of scared about the trajectory this is taking in a division that I think you're still going to be competing with the Ravens for that top spot. I think the Ravens kind of bailed you out this week, that you're still competitive there. I'm not pleased with the way the coaches handled Joe Burrow, not even coaches, but just Bengals as a whole handled the Joe Burrow being injured situation. So I'm kind of scared to start. And I don't doubt that in a couple of weeks I'll be way different, but for right now, I'm kind of scared about the direction of this team.
It's totally understandable if you just want to get picked up and go home.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns.
All right, you tell me your opinion.
I'm probably in well beyond panic.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson.
I didn't want to overreact, but
Nick Chubb broke his leg in half. Deshaun Watson hasn't been good at all when he's played, and he's fully guaranteed. This team just has terrible vibes for a team that always has bad vibes. So I feel like that's saying something.
Yep.
So I don't know. There's not I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I had high expectations for them, but this year is a very telling year for me. If they're not going to do anything this year, a year removed from all the Watson drama, I don't think they're going to do anything ever. And they are committed to Watson for better or worse for a while. So.
Yeah. Hold on. Kevin Stefanski is still their coach,
yeah,
right?
Kevin Stefanski is still the head coach.
Okay. I can't wait for our hot seats episode. All right. That's our tier ranking, tier list. Make sure we save that, please.
I will save it.
All right. We were a little all over the place at the start, but we kind of shored up where we were at towards the end. Thank you for bearing with us. We ran a little over an hour. Do you very quickly want to tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at mpnugget75 and enjoying a Red October that will hopefully in the next couple of days include the death of a blooper.
You can also find Duncan on the Start Sit
Oh,
show
yeah.
on Sunday mornings.
That too.
On the FF channel, Discord channel, whatever, however I'm supposed to say that. You can find me on Twitter at Ashley_Marie with 2 A's and Ashley. Me, Duncan, the entire Undroppables crew on our Discord channels, which you get access to by becoming a patron at patreon.com/theundroppables. And you can find us here live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, somewhere else too. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this lovely Wednesday. We hope to see you here next week. I hope you don't panic about your team too much in the meantime. Have a great week of football. I don't know. Goodbye.
Go Birds.